Hey, I'm Oliver from Kamelot, and you're watching Brutally Delicious.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
What's up, everyone? I'm Dark Macek with Brutally Delicious. We are here in Richmond, Virginia with Oliver from Kamelot. Hey, how the hell are you, man?
Hey, I'm good.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Have you been to Richmond before?
I don't remember. I have no clue. I'm touring since 30 years, and it's a big blur. So I remember cities usually when I come back. So I was walking around for 2 hours, more the historic sites. I'm a big history fan, and I don't think that I've been to the city before.
So I lived here for about 10 years, and I always had to go to Silver Spring, Maryland to see you. This is the first time I think I've ever heard of Kamelot coming down here.
Right. We have a lot of cities this time we haven't been to before.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming. If I'm not mistaken, Thomas Youngblood was born here?
He was born in Virginia. I think definitely somewhere close here. Yeah.
It's interesting. So The Awakening has been out for about a year now, right? Mm-hmm. And this is your second U.S. run since then?
Right. Right.
So how has reception been?
Yeah, awesome. I mean, after every album, usually fans are grateful, and we have such a awesome fan base. But this one's been outstanding, basically.
Are there like particular songs that jump out? Like obviously there's the singles, but I remember on the last one, like Vespertine was a fan favorite.
Right. And the funny thing about that song was that I wrote the song, and our producer said that's not a Kamelot song, and I was pushing the song, and then they wanted to put it on like some kind of B-side, whatever version, and I was insisting that it belongs on the main record, and it actually became, I don't know, probably the favorite song of the album. So it's about taste, right?
How did they think it was not a Kamelot song? Like to me, that sounds a lot like a blend of the stuff on Karma and the newer stuff. Like
totally. So this is why I was pushing. So I was really in this case. Usually I'm very flexible, and I try to all the opinions, but in this case I was getting some German toughness out. But with this album, Pantheon, for example, is a little bit like a hidden gem. A lot of people request. Opus,
of course.
Eventide, songs like that.
Well, my favorite's The Looking Glass, if you need new ideas. So
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, you said Pantheon and that, whatnot. So about a week ago, I interviewed Blind Guardian, and it's interesting because you're both similar styles from the same era. I mean, you're different, but both vaguely power metal.
Okay.
Most of their set is older stuff. They have like maybe 2 new songs, and something that always amazes me about Kamelot is most of your set is from the Tommy era.
Right, and even this time we have more new songs in the set than ever before, and we are in the happy position where fans really request new songs. So we have a lot of new songs, a couple of the classics, of course, but I played in a lot of other bands as well, like for example Doro Pesh. I played guitar for 8 years there, and we just played with her in Minnesota on that Milwaukee metal.
Milwaukee Metal Fest, yeah.
Not Minnesota. And with Doro, I remember in the beginning of the tour it was maybe 2 new songs, 3 new songs, and then they slowly disappeared and got replaced always by the same classics, the fans requested. And Kamelot is in that position where we can really play new songs, and fans also want that and appreciate it.
So you're saying like obviously Vespertine was requested, but you're not having fans clamoring for like the Elizabeth trilogy, is it?
Sometimes, of course. Yeah. People want Elizabeth. Sometimes, sometimes you get really like obscure old songs which we never played live anyway. So, you cannot make everybody completely happy, but we try.
So, I mean, is there like, how does the band feel? I mean, it's got to feel good to have your new songs requested.
Yes.
But is anyone in the band saying like, let's do a Black Halo anniversary tour? Or
I mean, the point is, well, there's the Tommy era that started with Silverthorne. Alex is with us since the last record, basically. You know, Sean is, I mean, probably 10 years. Of course, that is our era, you know, where the band members are in, so that we would prefer those songs compared to the old songs, which we are not so attached to in the end.
Right. I just thought it was really neat. Like, for instance, you know, Megadeth, like still a metal band, but anytime you see them, the last song is going to be Holy Wars,
right.
And then before that, it's like Peace Sells and Symphony, and maybe you'll get one or two new songs off the album.
Yeah.
So, and I'm trying to remember, when was Kamelot's first album released? Like 95?
I think the band started in 93,
Yeah.
and when did the first one come out? I don't know.
Mid-90s. So you're coming up on 30 years,
right.
And it seems like the last 10 are really the ones that are like, oh yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So, was it, and I guess I'm just curious, like, so obviously, like, some of the lineup is newer, but was, like, the singer switch hadn't have been a big deal. Is it largely Tommy and...
Is it what?
The change, I guess, like, reinvigoration. Is that Tommy coming into the band? Like, what the hell happened? How is it that 20 years into your career, you're like, oh yeah, now we're really turbocharged?
It's a good question. I think it was, Tommy came in the band. I started writing songs. Also, Tommy contributed songs. So a lot of the essential, like the core stuff changed, and it worked. And that's not necessarily the case. But in our case, the songwriter team worked, you know, and so that was very important. And of course, Tommy, you know, cool, young, great singer in the band. Of course, it kicked our ass. So but it was not a given that it would work out. You know, we were all a bit stressed at that time, I remember.
Hey, this is Steve Choi, host of the Musicians Guild podcast, part of the Sound Talent Media podcast network. Within the four walls of the Musicians Guild, we'll be discussing the habits, idiosyncrasies, experiences, and general psychology of my friends and peers, all involved with music in various capacities. Listen and subscribe at soundtalentmedia.com.
I mean, I was a fan at the time, and I remember thinking, like, I'm glad I was wrong, but how would they ever continue without Roy Khan?
Right.
And then when I saw the tour announcement where you had Fabio for a tour, right?
Yes.
And I was like...
It was Fabio and Tommy at the same time at a certain point, you know. They were both singing, actually, you know.
I didn't know they did a tour together. That's funny. I mean...
Tommy did like 2 songs, something like that, and Fabio the rest.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Fabio, but...
No, he's such an amazing singer. Very stable. Besides partying, drinking, smoking, you know, but he's so resilient.
It's
amazing, you know, that guy. Yeah. Tough.
Well, every time I see him on 70,000 Tons of Metal, because he goes there with Rhapsody sometimes and with like Angra. I think there was a third band I saw him with, but I'm just forgetting. He's always like smoking a cigarette, and I mean, but still sings like a goddamn bird.
He's the prototype Italian guy, you know. He loves life, and it's awesome, very awesome.
So that was like a segue into the next question. It seems like the band is on, you guys, I mean, not Fabio, 70,000 Tons of Metal every other year. Are you going to be on next?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not booking, and I usually I stumble out of the tour bus in the morning, and I listen to the language, and then I know in which country I am and which city, and so, you know, I'm not good when it comes to the organizational part of things.
Well, sure. Okay. Other weird question that this one struck me. So every time I've seen you on 70,000 Tons of Metal, I think 3 different cruises, but every other time I've seen you, Battle Beast was opening. This time they're not. What the? Can you explain that? Like, do you have any insight?
You
there?
mean 70,000 tons, or
not like when you're touring, not the festivals. It's
Battle Beast was now support for a while, and it was a really good fit. And I also I like the band a lot. You know, that's not necessarily the case with support bands always, but. No, it's just cool when you can go out and you can watch the support band and you really like it. And I did it almost every other night, you know, despite the preparation for our actual gig. But they were great people, also partying people, and we never had any problems, and they're very experienced, great musicians. But everything comes to an end at a certain point. You gotta change the lineup.
Well, so I did notice, I think they're like doing a headlining tour right now.
Yeah.
Like I think they're playing New York next weekend. So something I've been noticing a lot of is like, it seems like this, I'm going to use this term broadly, power metal scene is really rising. It's like Powerwolf came to the US for the first time last year.
Okay.
Wind Rose is headlining. They did, I think, one support tour. Yeah, they supported Rhapsody last year. Rhapsody came back for the first time in like 10 years last year.
Okay.
Now, obviously, like, I would consider Kamelot an American band, even though only 2 of the members are American. Is that so? I figure that might be why. But you guys always toured the U.S., but a lot of the others didn't. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling here. But do you see this like tide rising in the genre?
I mean, you say it. Yeah. So what we did this time is playing cities we never played before. Quite a lot of places we haven't been, like here, for example. I don't know. I mean, so far it was a very, very successful tour, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I would see a real rise. If that's the case, I'm happy. So yeah.
Well, interesting. So I guess just last thing to wrap things up. So you guys are generally putting out an album like every 2.5 years or so, maybe 2.5, 3?
3, 4 years. Yeah.
So what's the timeline like for the next one? Like you tour for this one for another year, and then
Gonna start songwriting probably beginning of next year, and then next year is reserved for songwriting and few festivals, maybe South America touring, but aside from that, it's mainly focusing on the next record.
Okay, so no tour next year?
I don't think so, no. Definitely not European or US. Some smaller things here and there, maybe.
Well, sure.
We need the time.
Awesome. Sounds like sound check starting, so let's get out of here.
It's not our sound check, but
thank you very much, Oliver.
Hammerfall.
Hey there, I am Johnny Christ from Avenged Sevenfold, and I've got a podcast called Drinks with Johnny you're going to want to check out. I sit down with a bunch of different people from all different walks of life, from professional wrestlers to actors, comedians, fighters, musicians, everything in between. I'm just looking to make some friends and have a good time doing it. So if that sounds like something you're into, go check out Drinks with Johnny, streaming everywhere now.